All right, let's do it live on a First Friday Miracle edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. Gibbe is here. Tyvis Powell is here. TP, how you living?
You know what? This is the time, Bo, to tell you about how yesterday I played basketball. So
Wait, hold on. All right, TP, basketball. I like to write things down on this show. All right, go ahead. Is this at all an effect of after the image of you and Jeremiah Smith went kind of viral over the weekend where he looks like he could swallow you for lunch?
Yeah. So I realized that I need to really get back in the gym. That he motivated me, because it's for the first time I stood next to an individual and I thought to myself, I don't think I could check that guy. So I had to test my athleticism. So I decided to go play basketball. Now, before I tell you how it went, 3 weeks ago I sprained my wrist while playing basketball. So I've been kind of out rehabbing that because you got to be ready to go. I needed to be able to hit that jumper. Yeah. Well, I went out there yesterday, and I'm gonna compare myself to a player. Like I always get home and I tell my wife who I played like. And I'm not kidding you when I say this. If I could compare my game yesterday to somebody, it was like Kobe Bryant. That's who I probably, if you was there, you would have been like, man, he looked just like Kobe.
Were you playing against 7-year-olds?
No, these was grown men. They got wives and kids as well. So,
wait a second.
I'm just telling you.
Are they 60-year-olds?
Humbly, I was like Kobe Bryant.
Continue. Go ahead.
Okay, so
suspension of disbelief. Go ahead.
Let me explain.
Yeah,
I was able to drive to the hole, and I finished at a high clip. It was unbelievable how good I finished at the cup. Okay.
Yep.
Then my turnaround jumper. When I was a kid in high school, I used to watch. I used to watch Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan do this turnaround jumper. So I put it in my bag when I was in the 10th grade, and it became unstoppable. So when I backed them up, when I got in the paint, I called for the ball and they threw it to me and I had to turn around. It was 90% going in, Bo. That's how good it was.
Yesterday.
And then, yesterday. And then at the 3-point line, I wouldn't tell you that I'm the greatest. It wasn't like Mike or Kobe was the greatest 3-point shooter.
No.
But when you need it in a clutch situation, were down, we going 1s and 2s. We was going to 12.
I hate that,
we was down 10-8. And every time we was in that position, I would hit this shot to give us the tie game. It was just like that clutch meter was just there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, I've seen you play basketball. I've seen you shoot a basketball.
I'm just telling you.
I find this improbable. Now, I need to know where you played and who you played with. I need specifics. You said grown men married. What is our age group? Is this like my beat up on 40-year-olds? What are we doing here?
I would say that it was probably one guy there that was probably 40 plus. Outside of him, everybody else is about 35, 34. We had probably 2 guys that were under 30 there. Yeah, this is it's a league that you try, when you're trying to get back to being good, when you're trying to get back into the swing of things. This is who you play up against. It's those type of guys.
Are there any more Division I athletes there? Former.
I plead the fifth.
You playing a bunch of stiffs from Worthington.
That's your former intern.
Yeah, he's running around playing a bunch of stiffs from Olentangy.
I'm trying to get back, but I haven't played in a while, so I'm trying to get
my game
sore? Back.
Were you sore?
So that's the funny you asked because I wore a knee brace on my left knee.
Yeah.
And when I woke up this morning, both knees were messed up. It was hard for me to walk up and down the stairs. But you couldn't tell yesterday, bro. I was 0 to 100 on fast breaks. People was getting out the way. I felt like LeBron.
I bet you did. Yeah. Well, you're LeBron and Kobe, so this is a high level.
I was going to say,
you're holding yourself to.
The first 5 minutes of the show, he's dropped a Kobe and a LeBron.
Listen.
As long as you don't leave like him, you're just fine.
What was the fit? What was your fit? What were you in?
All right, so yesterday I had on some LeBron shoes,
Lows or highs?
Highs. I can't do the low. I don't want to mess up the ankle.
Which LeBrons? Which incarnation?
Ooh, I don't know the number. Are they
older ones, or were they new? In the last couple
years?
years?
These are more newer.
Okay, because he went to a little bit more of a low profile, lighter shoe in the last 3 or 4 years. Before that, they were like having tanks on your feet.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, these is actually pretty light. They look heavy, but they're actually pretty light.
Okay.
Had those on. Had the NBA, the NBA Elite socks. Scrunch them up a little bit.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Had the tights on, pulled the tights up. Yeah, put the tights on just not the full length one, the 3/4 one.
Oh my
okay,
gosh.
so you show just like a little bit of skin, just a little slit of skin. Okay, had the Jordan shorts on.
Okay,
and then I wore my Cardell does his softball game.
Yeah,
I wore that jersey on top
with your name on it.
With on the Buckeye stickers all on the shirt. I'm telling you, I was like, it was unbelievable. It was. I definitely.
Here's the thing.
Let's just say, if you was, how you got to pick the kids who you want to pick on your team. Yeah. If you would have saw me, I would have been the first pick.
All right, I'm going to tell you this. I was just at the this past weekend. I spent the majority of my weekend at the Drew Joyce Classic at the IX Center.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I saw we were doing the AAU with the boys. I'm going to tell you right now. Everything you're wearing is out.
What?
You've gotten old.
Wow! Don't tell me that.
I'm sorry.
You're trying to because you're trying to put me in the boat with you. No.
You're not. I'll just say this. I'm not putting you in a boat with me. I'm saying you're closer to me than you are with the kids playing AAU.
What are these kids? What's the kids wearing?
Tights are out. Tights are out. Yeah, no tights.
So what they wearing? Pants?
No tights. Scrunch socks. Out.
You're kidding me.
Scrunch socks out.
That was like the thing to do
of
back
course.
in the day.
You've gotten old, unbeknownst to you. long shorts. Out. All the shorts are high.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Out.
My shorts they're above the kneecap.
Buddy,
mine is above the kneecap.
That's long. They want like a 5-inch inseam now, these kids. They want like a 5-inch inseam, these kids.
Those are called running shorts? That's
what they're playing hoops in now, buddy. I was just there. I saw it. You're closer to me than you are to the kids. That's now you've gotten
old. No, Bo. I'm 31.
You've gotten old, brother.
I'm 30 is the new 20, so we good.
You be careful. I used to play. I've told this story until I used to play 3 times a week in the morning, really early, like 6 to 7 a.m. or maybe it was even 5:30 to 7. I can't remember. Used to do it 3 times a week, and I was watching NBA. Boogie Cousins was with the Pelicans with Anthony Davis, and I was watching live when he tore his Achilles. And I remember Mike Breen, I want to say, was on the call, and he said, and one of the analysts said, that is a full year recovery. And I've just thought to myself, all right, you're a man, you're 40. Boogie Cousins is in the prime of his life, and a torn Achilles is on the shelf for a year. If you tear an Achilles, you're just going to forget walking. Like, it's just done. You're not rehabbing it.
Bo, you can't go into it with those type of thoughts.
No, that's what I did.
Like, I stretched out, which is wild because if you know me, I'm a cheater. Cheaters don't stretch, but I did last night. I had to last night.
Did you ice bath?
I felt good. I did not. I should have. The last time I hooped, I did put ice on my knees, and I felt better the next day.
Yeah.
This time I tried to power through it because I thought I was still young. Back in the day, you could get away with it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm still feeling it.
See, here's what you have to worry about. This is what got me. Some 5'1" little guy that thinks he wants to mix it up with all the people that are 5'8" or taller, and he gets underneath you trying to get a rebound and takes you out. Pop.
See, that's not gonna happen. That's
you
not
got
been
there.
See,
it happened to me. I was playing on an interns rec league team.
You got to follow this is my advice to you on pickup basketball. You got to run 3-point line to 3-point line. That's it.
That's it, huh?
Oh, yeah.
No, but this is the thing, Bo. I am like Shaq in the paint.
Well, hold on. Now you're Shaq, too?
No. My
Boy,
inside
presence. And LeBron.
Hold on, wait. Let me break it down. My inside presence is unstoppable. If I get the ball on the post, I have so many post moves. It's you're not gonna stop me. It's a point. It's a bucket every time. If I decide to turn around and shoot it, 90% of the time I'm gonna make it. And we're at the 3-point line. I'm like 25 to maybe 28% from the 3-point line. I'm not gonna gas myself there.
All right.
Give
me this. I need the stat line. I need the high school stat line out of you from Bedford High School. That's what I need to know. Because I've heard Kobe, I've heard LeBron, and I've heard Shaq. So I want to know.
Name dropping.
We got a lot of good high school basketball in this area. Certainly when you were coming up, there was a ton of it. I want to know stat line, Bedford High, Tyvis Powell. Also, I want to know what number you wore.
I wore number 1. And
okay,
I was
so you had some juice.
I was a late bloomer, so like I was nervous back when I played basketball.
You were nervous.
So,
why would you be nervous?
I was nervous because it wasn't like my number one sport. Like football, I was confident. Like you were not going to stop me. Basketball, like it was other people out there that I knew were better. So I was just a role player. I was like a Draymond Green. That's how I was. Without being able to handle the ball.
Give a name drop to somebody out there. Who was the kid on your high school team who was what you were yesterday in the pickup game?
On my high school team, that was hold on now. This is
who was Kobe, Shaq, and LeBron.
It was this guy named Robert Johnson. We called him Scoop.
Johnson. Oh, I like that.
He was a beast. That guy was really good to watch. He could do it all. He could shoot. He was good in the inside. I think he played the 4. He was a really good player.
All right.
Shout out to Robert Johnson.
Well, he just got one. I'll give you a 5-minute story on how your day differs from mine. So, about 8 years ago, it wasn't even that long ago. It was 5 years ago. It was during COVID. I was doing one of the shows from my office. And I heard a boom in the living room window. Loud. Like you could feel it.
Yeah.
So I come out of my office. My wife is screaming. I look down. There is a hawk that hit the window in our living room, head on, full sprint, and was at the base of the house. Okay? Full-size hawk. So I said, listen. She's like, we got to do something. I said, not me. Not doing it. I'm scared of birds. I'm not going anywhere near this thing. So we call like animal control, and they say, look, like these things, sometimes they just are stunned, and they'll be okay. Like, give it a minute. So sure enough, within like 20 minutes, the thing kind of got its wits about it, and it flew away. All right, so it flew away.
Really?
Flew away. So last night.
After shattering the glass.
Oh, boom. No, he didn't shatter it.
He just hit it hard.
No, the glass one.
Quality glass you have in your house.
That's right.
I'm telling you.
The glass one.
Good.
Glass one. So, fast forward to yesterday. I'm sitting in the I'm standing in the kitchen talking to my wife, and I look outside, right outside, but we have a walkout, and so Buddy Garrity's down there, the dog, and I hear him going nuts, and I look over, and there is a robin which has clearly hit the window and dropped right at the foot of the door, okay? Now, this bird is, to me, looks done. Window one again. Shocker. So I go down there to look at it to examine.
Got some really clean windows, bro.
Buddy, they're clean. So I go out there, and I look at it. I'm looking at it, and it's moving. And my wife's like, you have got to do something about that. I said, I'm not doing anything. First of all, I'm not doing anything about it. So if you want to handle it, you handle it. She goes, you're the man, which she only uses when it's convenient. I found out. It's only when it's stuff like this that I'm the man the rest of the time.
Calling out the man card.
Yeah. So I'm like, look, I'm going to go pick up NBC from lacrosse. By the time I get back, if it's still there, I'll deal with it. So I do that. I pick him up from lacrosse. I come back. And now all of a sudden, the bird the head's moving. We're coming around. Okay. All right. Like he's getting his wits about him. So then the bird decides to defecate. Naturally, right? That would happen. So now the bird has droppings. It's right outside the door. So I say to NBC, I'm like, go check on that bird. I'm not going near it. Go check on it. He's like, yeah, I'm on it. So he's fearless. He goes down there. So as soon as he opens the door, the bird bounces away. Okay. Nice little story here. We are on the inside of the house. He's on the outside. NBC at that point, starts walking out of the house.
Oh, no.
He's stepping all around where the bird defecated. And we're yelling at him like, dude, what are you doing? Yelling at him. And he can't hear us because he's outside and we're inside. Does he step right in it? Of course he does. Steps right in it. So then he comes up. I'm spraying him with Dawn soap to like get that off. Bootsy is worried about bird flu, right? So now we have a bird flu pandemic because of this.
Wait,
he's
the
screaming.
youngest one is worried about the bird flu.
He's worried about bird flu. So we're trying to get him scrubbed. In the meantime, Beamsy lets Buddy Garrity out. So now
Game time.
This bird has hopped over to the edge of the pool, and now Buddy Garrity's like, well, I want to know what this is all about.
Lunch.
And remember, Buddy Garrity a week ago killed a rabbit.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Did I tell you that?
No, I love this already.
Oh, I didn't even tell my wife. I hope she's not listening because I don't want her to know he's a murder dog. But he got a bunny.
Nice.
He didn't even know what to do with it. He didn't mean to. Like, he just was playing with it, but he got it. I don't know if one slipped, whatever, but he won. So he goes charging for this bird. Now, this bird has not flown. It's only hopped. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh, my God, if he gets a mouth on this thing, I got feathers, I got blood, I'm going to have a mess on my hands. Total mess. And it's going to be me cleaning it.
Yes. Yep.
You're the man.
So they say. Buddy Garrity walks over to it. He is not within, he's 3 inches from it. The bird turns and looks at him and flies away. Thank God. Somehow, we went from you got to dispose of the bird to the bird 20 minutes later is flying away, having been threatened by NBC's presence and the dog. So that's what you have to look forward to.
And your youngest one is worried about bird flu.
Bootsy's worried about bird flu.
No one else is, but
No,
he is.
he is. NBC wipes the bird droppings off of his foot and then puts the rag with which he did it on the kitchen counter. My wife,
Perfect.
what are you doing? That's what you have to look forward to.
Out of this whole story, the thing I thought about the most is that your wife pulled the
You're the man
card, and all I think about is if it's a spider in my house,
Yep.
I look at my wife like, which one of us is going to get it?
That's right. It's when it's
Wait
convenient.
a minute. You can't kill him either?
What, a spider?
Yeah.
First of all, Gibby, I'm fearless.
You have no fear.
Unless it's a snake. A snake, I ain't messing with that.
I'm fearless. I'm fearless except for
snakes. With the
snakes.
snakes. Anything
I ain't
else,
scared of nothing.
You can sit me out there, but the snake, it's not happening.
So your snakes are my birds. I'm not scared of snakes. I'm not scared of spiders. None of it. Birds get me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's weird.
I'll get one of these days. I'll tell you the whole story about it. It's justified. Trust me. All right, we've got some stuff we got to get through here. We got some business of the day. All right, we've got some comments. We're picking number 2 in 8 days. We're picking second overall in 8 days. Shedeur Sanders was on his 2 legendary podcast and had this to say, and perhaps a little lead on what the Browns may be doing at number 2 overall.
I saw that the Browns went all out in showing their presence at Pro Day. I even read something that they took you and Travis out to dinner the night before. Is that true, or can you comment on that?
Yeah, so me and Trav went out to dinner with them the night before, and it was cool. We went to the steakhouse. We got some steak. I don't know what Trav got. I think he got lamb or something. I don't know. Me and Trav both took our 30 visit with them at the same time, so it was cool that we were able to go through the process together, side by side, and I know draft day, I know it should be me or him going there. Which one, I don't know, but I think we're the most qualified players to go to that organization.
What do you make of that? By the way, since last you and I did this show, Cam Ward's going 1. Like, that's just known now at this point.
Yeah. I mean, out of that, what I make out of that is that, I mean, it's what we've kind of been thinking all along. For the past, I don't know, maybe week and a half, Travis Hunter's name has gotten so hot in Cleveland to where people think that's just a foregone conclusion. I think that it would be the right decision. I mean, you think about, I think when you're picking at 2, I know often you and Nathan have argued about how the quarterback is the biggest thing. You need a quarterback.
Yeah.
You need a quarterback. And I agree with y'all. But what I was trying to tell y'all when we got into that argument before a couple months ago was if these guys aren't elite, like if these quarterbacks aren't elite, if there's only one elite quarterback and all the rest of them are about the same, and you don't have a chance to get that elite guy, then you have to at least take the elite talent at that spot. And they're hands down, Travis Hunter is the most talented guy out of this out of this whole draft class. So I think it's the right thing, and I think that they're probably going to try to trade up in the first round, back in the first round to get somebody, or at 33, they might be able to get a Milroe or Tyler Shook or somebody like that and still be good.
Yeah, I think the pushback that I always have on the quarterback stuff is like when people say there's only one elite prospect. Well, how do you know? And the reality is nobody knows anything. They don't.
That's
if
true.
they would have known, Lamar Jackson would have been the last pick in the first round. Like,
I agree.
There isn't known. So I think I said this yesterday on the show with Gerard. I just want, and because this has been a steel trap, there's nothing coming out of here. There's no information. There are no leaks. It's nothing. There's nothing. So nobody knows anything. Anybody who gets on there, this is what they're going to do. They don't know. Trust me, they don't.
Yeah.
So when I came yesterday, what I said was, I just want you think about AB, you think about Kevin, you think about the brain trust. They've been entrusted by ownership to make these picks. And this is a critical draft for us. Take picks that you have conviction of.
Yeah.
Take guys you love. Right? You don't know. Yeah. This is a very short time that you are in these jobs. Even the people who are in them for a long time, they're not in them for that long. I would be able to sleep well at night knowing I took a guy I believed in. Did it work out? Maybe it didn't, but we did our due diligence. This is who we loved, and we stuck to that. And I think if you do that, at least you can sleep well at night, because there are no sure things in the NFL draft. They don't exist.
Yeah, it's always a crapshoot every time you go out there. It's all about the development. I think that why the Travis Hunter thing makes the most sense for me at 2 is because I feel like development-wise, like he has all the traits of being a really good football player. Now, he got to critique a couple of things offensively and defensively to be considered elite. But that's what you pay the coaches to do. That's what these coaches are here for, is to help him, coach him out of those little things. And it's when I watched the film and I did a breakdown on him, it's only a couple of things that he does as a DB. And I'm like, if he changes this, he will be fine. He'd be one of the best in the league. And it's up to the coaching staff of the Browns to make sure that happens. And likewise, same thing with the quarterbacks. Everybody talks about these quarterbacks aren't that great. But if you identify a skill set that this guy has and you're like, you know what, if I get with him and I talk with him, I can help him fix that and he'll be a really good player. If you believe that and you know that you can get that, that's the guy that you should take for your quarterback.
What would you, if it is Trav, what would you have him do first? Because I think if it's here or anywhere, he's going to play both. I don't think there's any question he's going to play both. He's good enough to. He's done his whole life. But you can't do them both full time. So you're going to have to get one thing first. What's the one thing you would do first with him?
I think I would start him at wide receiver because I think that's the bigger need for the Browns right now, is to have another wide receiver outside of Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku. So I think I would start him at wide receiver and maybe bring him in a couple of times on defense, to maybe maybe we could run 5 or 6 DBs out there. I think he is a great playmaker. I think, to be honest with you, I believe that he's a better DB than wide receiver. I know everybody's going back and forth with it. I know AB has spoken publicly and said that he likes him more as a wide receiver than a DB, but when I watch him as a DB, I can't deny the ball skills, the instincts, the speed. All of that stuff is going to make him an elite talent, to where on the offensive side of the ball, it's so many other things that has to go into your favor to be successful there. You got to have a good quarterback. You got to have a great protection, all of those things. So if you go to DB, I think he can be one of those guys that can purely lock down anybody. There will be nobody that he goes up against that's a better athlete than him. So I think athlete for athlete, he'll be able to match up with everybody in the league. And I think that's when when the ball is in the air, the way he plays that football, he plays it like he's the wide receiver. That's something that makes you extremely dangerous as a DB. And I always tell everybody, we talk about guys that get PBUs, like don't throw at that guy. No, like offensive coordinator will continue to throw at you if you're just going to knock the ball down. If you're going to intercept the ball, okay, now we can't go to that guy. We're not even going to go to his side because he's going to take the ball away and we're not going to have a chance to score. So he, to me, can be one of those guys that can be one of the top corners in this league because he will take the football away.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you try to envision, like if he is the pick, what does it look like? And, it's kind of, to me, it feels like positionally, he's just weapon. So he offensively, like, I don't know, does he have to run a route on every down? No, I don't envision that. I envision it on a package of plays where he does. And sometimes he's a decoy and sometimes he's the actual intended target or the play it's schemed up for. And I think the same defensively. Like when you're in clearly, like as you just articulated, he can come in and play man coverage and let's go. Like, Denzel on one. I mean, good Lord, you got him, MJ, Denzel, Newsome. It's a ton of corners, right?
Yeah.
So like, and then same thing defensively, like obvious passing downs. There's to me, I think he could play a bunch of plays both ways without having to say like, yeah, I'm playing every offensive play and then I'm going to play 15 defensive plays. Maybe it's just more of an even split.
Yeah. The only challenge for him is that, I heard him go on a podcast and he says there's 24 hours in the day. You need 8 hours of sleep. 16 of those other hours is me dedicated to football. And you think about him, and I keep saying that he's not the perfect prospect as a wide receiver nor as a DB, but he's never had the time to really focus solely on one. My thing is those things that he needs to clean up. Like I told you, he does a false step when he's pressing, which that's fine. You could be coached out of that. When he plays cover two, he uses his athleticism a lot to where he tries to bait a lot of these quarterbacks. And I don't know necessarily if he's going to get away with that same bait in the NFL because the quarterbacks are just too good. You can't really bait it. You got to actually be in your spot and hope that they try you, and you got to make them pay. And as a wide receiver, some of the things to me is that route running, he's got to be able to create some more separation in his routes. But the thing is, if you're going to play both sides of the ball, at what time are you going to be able to perfect those things on defense that I just said and perfect the thing on offense? Like, I just think that's a lot. So I think at some point he's got to take one more serious than he takes the other.
Jack of all trades, master of none. Right? Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what that is. So that's the risk. It's going to be fascinating if it is here and he does come here. I mean, he's such an exciting player, and no one has ever done what he's done in college football. Today's the final day for the top 30 visits in the NFL. A couple of them out there, some notable ones. Ohio State offensive tackle Josh Simmons is visiting the 49ers today. Texas A&M edge Nick Scorton is visiting the Bills. Yesterday we told you about the Giants working out Shedeur Sanders. Turns out he wasn't the only quarterback. The Giants also worked out Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe and Louisville quarterback Tyler Shuck. So all of those guys have been worked out by the Giants as well. It's going to be fascinating if the Giants are just doing this because there is a true division in their front office about what to do with that pick at number 3, or if they are trying to bait teams into coming up, because everyone lies right now. There's no truth being told. It's all lie and fabrication. So that's something that's going on as well. Here's something else. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts has been selected to the 2025 Time 100 annual list by Time Magazine of the 100 most influential people in the world. G-Man or Gibby, or maybe a combination of both, do we think Jalen Hurts is even the most influential person in football? No, I don't.
No.
He's a nice player, though.
He's a nice player, does great interviews, says great answers and does all those things. Had a really good Super Bowl. It does really well in big time games. So yeah, but I mean, most influential, I would definitely say is still number 15 for the Chiefs. I mean, still throwing the ball sidearm. They got the haircut like that. I mean, it's a kid in college that's literally a spitting image of him right now.
I know who you're talking about.
He's changed. Yeah.
Do you think
Nebraska?
Dylan Raiola? Do you think folks are aware? Like, if you haven't seen Nebraska play, folks, he has Patrick Mahomes' haircut. He wears 15. He walks like him. He walks like him, like the pigeon-toed walk.
Wears the sleeve on the arm with the short sleeve cut off. Yep. He wears the little sunglasses, the little biker
just
sunglasses.
Like him. It's kind of creepy.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's weird. And he was the number 1 quarterback in the country. He was originally committed to Ohio State. Then he was at Georgia, went to high school in Georgia, then ended up at Nebraska. His dad played at Nebraska. So, yeah, he looks it's pretty wild the way it's all shaken out. We'll have some college football thoughts with Tyvis as the program goes along. Also at 2:30, we'll do a little Ask Tyvis version of Ask CBD. Tweet @Browns_daily using the hashtag Ask Tyvis or Ask CBD, and we will get to those questions coming up at 2:30. Coming up next, though. Oh, by the way, those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. Coming up next, Ryan Day, national champion head coach, sat down with Browns play-by-play voice Andrew Siciliano for a one-on-one interview. We will have that for you coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. It's presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. For the first time ever, witness Inter Miami take on 2023 MLS Cup champion Columbus Crew at Huntington Bank Field. It's this Saturday, April 19th. Secure your spot to see some of the MLS's biggest stars. Visit huntingtonbankfield.com/crew versus Miami to get your tickets today. And now, an interview first heard on the best podcast available. It is Ohio State National Championship head coach Ryan Day sitting down with our play-by-play voice, Andrew Siciliano.
He is the head coach of the championship winning Ohio State Buckeyes on the best podcast available. Ryan Day, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here, guys.
So there's no rest for the winners, I guess. I mean, what was it? The parade was January 26th, then like back at spring practice, pro day. Like, if you had a chance to nap, was there at least, maybe 2 days on the beach? Was there any Ryan Day time in all of this in a 10-month season?
Some days you wake up and it doesn't feel like anything's changed. And then there's other days where it does. But life goes on and you move on. But it's been great to celebrate, the accomplishments of that team. And, the guys who came back for Pro Day, the banners are up on the walls, just a sense of pride when they walk in the Woody, which was great because they all kind of went away to train and then came back. So that's been great. But spring ball, we're in the second week of spring ball, and we're back at it with this team.
You had 140 NFL personnel there. I think 6 coaches, 6 GMs. I'm sure people are hiding in the corners as well to not get noticed. What does that mean to not only your current players, but the program in general? Yeah, we won, all right? We got the banner, we got the trophy. But look who is here. I mean, this is an NFL job fair, really.
Yeah. And I say, we have a meeting, right here in this room where, everyone's in there to start off the Pro Day, and I speak for a little while, and then Mick does his deal to kind of get everything organized. But one thing I say is that our goal is that day one, when they walk into the organization, they're professionals, they're pros. And Ohio State's fan base is 11.5 million. Dallas Cowboys is 8.5. So these guys know what it means to play in front of the bright lights. They know what it means to play for a team with expectations and preparation. And I'm proud of the guys that we've developed going into this year's draft.
We'll talk about some of those guys. You had 14 to the combine, more than that working out yesterday. Can't name them all. But let's start with your quarterback. There was and I love this about Will, almost like this baby-faced defiance that I saw yesterday from him. Maybe the combine wasn't the best. I love that yesterday he kind of blamed it on fans online from that school up north, which I found interesting. But Will came out with a purpose yesterday to A, be better than Indianapolis, but B, put on a show. And then he wasn't afraid to go, yeah, I am the best quarterback in the draft. What did you see from him yesterday?
Yeah, I don't think he missed a throw. Maybe a little bit off on one. I don't know, but 60 some odd throws, and I thought the ball came out of his hand with pace. There was a rhythm about it. And the thing about Will is Will has just a great makeup in terms of his, I guess they call it now aura, but he's just got great juice to him. And so, that was on display. But when you were there watching it, talking to a couple of the NFL personnel, you just realize how big he is. And he just looks like an NFL guy out there day one. He's got command. He can line up under center. He can line up in the gun. He can make all the throws. And I think he just wanted to show, what he can do in person. And sometimes with that combine, they tell the guy, take, 5 and a hitch, throw it to this cone or throw it to this area, and the receiver isn't. I mean, it gets a little goofy. I've been there before. I was in the NFL. I coached the quarterback. But I think this was a little bit more realistic to show his skill set.
And you're working with guys which is a huge difference, obviously, than the combine. But obviously, look, that's part of the combine test as well. How do you get on the same page with guys you just met a couple of days ago at Tel Wabi? The defiance, not the defiance, the confidence, the aura, as you said. How significant is that going to the next level? I know it's significant there, but not only the confidence, the amount of ownership that you and Chip gave him at the line of scrimmage last year. I remember Chip called him kind of his run game coordinator. When you evaluate the position and you look at the pro days and, look, he could flip his hips and throw it 70 yards. Who cares? Is that aura and leadership and ownership more significant in your eyes?
I think so, yeah. I think it's important for a quarterback to galvanize a team. They have to believe in him. Our team did. I think that when you walk into that huddle, there's just a certain amount of command that the quarterback needs to demand. And, when you think about certain quarterbacks, especially late in their career, they really were like a coach on the field. And they could get, the offense into the right play based on, the couple plays that he's given in the huddle. And then obviously he's got to be great on third down, the red zone, 2 minute. I think Will's shown he can do a good job on all 3 of those things. But it's all the other things that that matter when you're leading a group of men. And I guess maybe sometimes that gets lost. It doesn't get lost on me, or I'm sure many of the coaches. Is just the type of guy he is to bring people together and lead. And so his football IQ is tremendous. He's got great intelligence. He's got great moxie. He's got great toughness. He also can run with the ball when needed. So I think when you add all those things up, you're seeing a guy who goes into the NFL day one ready for it.
Don't want to fixate too much on the quarterbacks, but this is a Browns podcast, and I feel like the quarterback carousel in the NFL right now, you might have heard the Browns are looking for one, is somewhat similar almost to what happens in college football. The transfer portal feels like it's, quarterback free agency. Last year when you went through this, you found Will. I know you dabbled and you looked around. Cam Ward is part of the conversation. Kyle ended up in Syracuse as an Orange man. Like, I'm happy for that one. Thank you. What did you see, if I could ask, as Cam Ward's name is now in the NFL carousel at all? And did you think that, we could be talking about the number 1 overall pick in 12 months?
I don't really have a strong opinion there. I did watch his film when we were going through the process and recognized somebody who made quick decisions, was accurate, and really played at a high level. So I have a lot of respect for him as a player. But I can't sit there and tell you I've evaluated him and can really give a lot of great input there. But a big part of this is fit too. When you look at some young quarterbacks when they come into the league, they gotta have the right fit, and I think that's been important for CJ. I'm excited to see Justin go to the New York Jets. And I feel like for Will and for whoever's going out in this draft, the fit will be important, and that's why when we do our pro day, we want to give these scouts and personnel all the information that they can possibly have to make sure it is the right fit. Because a good fit, it can just take off. A bad fit, can be a failure. So. That's as much as a part of this as anything.
Let's get back to your guys. Is there such a thing as a bad fit for Emeka Egbuka?
I think there's some that are probably better than others, but Emeka can do multiple things. He's somebody who has been really clutch. He's made a lot of plays, been extremely productive. He's extremely intelligent. He's durable, powerful. Can create a lot of space in his route running, very detailed in his preparation. So, Mecca's going to play in the NFL for a long, long time. How it all plays out, that's for the NFL personnel to decide. But whoever drafts a Mecca is going to get somebody that's going to bring instant value to their team as a player, but then also off the field.
Yeah, and we've heard he killed the interviews, which is not surprising, obviously, right. In Indianapolis. He's going to kill any interview when he gets to any team day one on that podium. Some of the other guys yesterday, first of all, is Tyleek okay?
Yeah, tweaked it, but it was not something that we felt like was major or a long-term injury. Hopefully he'll be back to normal here in a few weeks.
Good. That was scary. Jordan Hancock, 4.42. That might surprise some people.
Really good. This is somebody who actually had a significant hamstring injury early on in his career, and then, kind of worked his way back up. And now you're seeing, really his best football. I thought he played his best football in the playoffs. I thought he was tremendous. I think he brings some flexibility and versatility with his game. And this is a guy who, again, maybe not a lot of guys, we're talking about a ton. But you see the way he runs, you see the way he played in the playoffs. Again, a real value pick, and I think this is another guy who's going to play for a long time in the NFL.
The way he helped you out down the stretch, do you think Donovan Jackson can play tackle in the NFL?
I think he can. Yeah. Is that his best position? Probably not. I would say he's a guard that could swing to a tackle, kind of like he did for us. But when you watch what he did at tackle for us this year, it's hard to say that he wouldn't be, a good tackle in the NFL. But I think that's his value too. When you have the ability to swing from position to position, especially with the limitations in the NFL in terms of roster size, and when you're playing an eligible or, when you're activating sometimes, there's 7 guys, that being something that he's done, shown, and put on film. I know there's a lot of teams that, watch him, and to me, he's a can't miss.
Is there any chance, I would be crazy, that your 2 running backs would end up on the same team in the NFL? That would be wild, wouldn't it?
I mean, yeah, I guess there's a chance. And it would be great because, they talk about 2 guys who understand about teamwork and because of their unselfishness ended up playing their best down the stretch for us in the playoffs. But 2 really good backs, different backs, but both, again, I think are going to have long careers in the NFL because they're 3-down backs. Quinshawn, somebody we've only had for a year, but, once he got into the rhythm of our offense and how we do things in more of an NFL style of offense with protections and route running, was great. He had some big catches and great protections for us down the stretch. But then you also saw Travion. I think, who knows? Travion may have a better career in the NFL than he did in college just because of his route running ability and his ability to be on the field for 3 downs and his home run capability.
Yeah, saw that home run capability certainly in the playoffs here. What's it going to be like without Jack Sawyer in the building?
No, he's in here right now, so I don't know yet.
So that hasn't changed yet?
No, he's got a Dunkin' Donuts coffee and walking around and making sure the D-line's rocking off the ball. But he's just somebody who is just the heart and soul of Buckeye football. And, he's going to be missed. These guys are all going to be missed. But this is somebody who grew up, in Columbus, wanted to be a Buckeye. And so to see it come full circle, obviously with the play he made in the Cotton Bowl, but to win a national championship, certainly it's a great story.
I got 2 more things for you, Ryan. I appreciate your time. There's been this talk of not a spring game at the point this week. You still want to do the spring game, fingers crossed. The roster is healthy. There's been this talk of potentially Syracuse going to Colorado and having a spring game between 2 schools, which is something, at least as I could remember, we have never seen happen. What do you think of that?
I think on the surface, it's a pretty unique idea, and I think there's certainly merit to it. I think one of the things about practicing now, and when there's obviously a lot of talk about our roster limit going to 105, there's a lot of challenges with that. Because when you look at NFL teams, you'd say, well, they have shorter, smaller rosters, 53-man rosters. Well, when you look on a year-to-year basis, there's guys in and out of that building, and it starts with 90 during the preseason, and they whittle it down. And so, for us to get to 105 is tough, especially with freshmen and young players who maybe, aren't ready to get on the field. So when I say that because we can't afford to get guys injured. And when you're with your own team, you can set the guidelines, you can set the rules of engagement. When you start to put 2 teams together in a practice setting, a lot of things could happen. You're not thinking about taking care of your teammates.
Yeah.
And now you're just worried about competing. And that's the biggest concern I would have. I think it's a great idea in terms of competition and those type of things. I would just worry about, somebody, getting hurt because of, you're going to tackle. If you're going to tackle and play a game, I think that would probably be the best case scenario. But if you're going to practice against somebody, I see some situations that could put guys in harm's way.
Yeah, you see it in the NFL. This with joint practices. Right. Day one's okay. It gets a little heated. Day 2 is usually when the fists start flying, and you got to warn guys ahead of time. Yeah. Can't have the fights. Spring game, though, fascinating. Last thing. Of the 140 NFL people there yesterday, what percentage would you estimate said, hey, what about Jeremiah Smith? Tell me about him.
No, I think obviously everyone knows who he is. He's obviously become a household name, and he's got 2 more years. So we'll talk about him, and we'll give him 1 more year before we can start talking about him in the NFL.
I mean, he doesn't turn 20 until the day you play the team up north this fall. He's still 19. But, if he were in this draft, just saying, it would be interesting.
Yes,
Ryan Day, know you're busy. It is back to the grind. Appreciate the time. Good luck here in spring practice, and good luck getting this team ready over the next 5 months. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Ryan Day and Andrew Siciliano. You know this team pretty dang well. There could be upwards of 15 of them picked. Probably not a Buckeye at 2. I think that's safe to say. But at 33, there definitely could be. At 67 as well. We kind of anticipate that there will be a ton of them gone by Friday. When you think about what Kevin wants to do offensively, which players who wore scarlet and gray on the offensive side of the ball would fit here best?
Obviously, we got to go straight to the running back room. Both of those guys would be unbelievable here with the Cleveland Browns because of the simple fact that we know Kevin is going back to his scheme, his style of offense where he wants to run a lot of under center and run that zone read or that zone and all of those things. And I think all those guys, Quinn Shine and Travion, both would be great there. I think that if Kevin wants to make this offense special again, we have to find a way to get these linebackers to respect the running back again. Last year I think that was the biggest thing. I didn't think, Jerome Ford did a really decent job coming in there. He gashed them a couple of times. But for the most part, I just didn't think that people respected our run game enough. If they respect the run game, those linebackers naturally are going to play closer to the ball. They're going to step up. And when you run those play actions, which Joe Flacco has been probably one of the best quarterbacks we had under Kevin Stefanski that runs play action to a higher success rate. Those linebackers will step up, and now the picture is clear for Jerry Jeudy over the middle or David Njoku over the middle. So to me, I think you have to get that running back, one of those guys that's going to make these linebackers respect him.
All right. In terms of the guy, if you had to say, and take the Browns out of it, just pick a Buckeye eligible in this draft, and there's a bunch of them, and they're very, very talented, that you would say, I will put the vast Tyvis Powell estate on the line. This guy's a 10-year guy.
A 10-year guy?
8-year guy. 10's a long time.
I'm about to say 10 is it's hard to get to 10. An 8-year guy. I would probably say Donovan Jackson. Why do I say Donovan Jackson? Because Donovan Jackson has that versatility that he could play tackle and guard. I think that the way that he goes about his business is going to really keep him around because he's a very smart football player. I think in the right system, he's one of those guys that can be a Pro Bowler for multiple years. So I think that he will be a guy that can get an 8-year career.
What do you think about Will as a pro?
I think Will, and he has to go to the right situation. I mean, I think that he's one of those guys that's not fully developed yet. And you thought he was, even after Kansas State, after his career at Kansas State, you thought this is the guy, this is who he is. And then he comes to Ohio State, and over from game one to the national championship is two different Wills. So this is a kid that's still learning the game, that's still growing, and he has to get with the coach that understands that, okay, we still have to work on his foundation, and if that's the case, he can become a guy that can be a really good quarterback in this league. But right now, he needs somebody that's going to be patient with him, that's going to teach him the game, that helps him see it in a more clear light.
Yeah, it's interesting, these quarterbacks, because Cam, it sounds like Cam's going to go one, and he was on Fortnite or something talking about his best receivers, and he had Calvin Ridley and Treylon Burks in his top 4 receivers in the league, along with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. So I think the cat's out of the bag there that he's going. He's going to Tennessee. Yeah, so that feels like that's a foregone. But for the rest of these guys, and I think some of the Shedeur stuff is a lot of nonsense. I think he's going to go a lot higher than people think. I don't think he's fallen to Pittsburgh or anything like that. I think he's going to go in the top
Saints. 10. I think he's going to go to the Saints. I think
maybe Giants too. I don't know.
The Saints would be nice for him.
Yeah. So then the rest of them, though, they're all so different, whether it's Jackson Dart or Milroe or Howard or McCord, who's a guy we saw a lot, Shuck. I mean, somebody just had a video up of Shuck leaving the pocket and just throwing it underhand to anybody. Yeah. So, all the rest of these guys have things. I mean, with Jackson Dart, yeah, it bugs me that he had a really good game against Georgia, which was buttressed by an awful game against Florida, where if they win, they're in the playoff. Jalen Milroe had one of the best games a quarterback played all of last year, beating Georgia, and one of the worst games a quarterback played last year, losing to Oklahoma. So there is this wide swings with the rest of these guys where anybody who goes on one of these shows or has a mock draft and says emphatically, this guy's a dude, I know he's going to make it. No, you don't. No, you don't.
You don't. They're all chasing consistency. None of these guys outside of maybe Cam,
he's chasing it too.
Yeah, well, I agree. None of these guys to me can come in and be your week 1 starter. I know Cam probably will be because he's the first pick of the draft, but the rest of them, I just don't see them coming in and being all right, this is our franchise guy right off of year 1. I think it's going to take some growing pain because a lot of them have some things that they got to be coached out of. Or, it's a lot of great players that some of those coaches just said, we're not going to coach you out of it. We're going to embrace it. Think about Josh Allen. Think about Patrick Mahomes. Their coaches said, all right, we can't coach you out of it, so we're just going to embrace it and help you enhance it. And now we see those guys being 2 of the best quarterbacks in this league. So, like I say, the fit matters. You got to get with the right play caller that understands what your skill set is and put you in the right position.
Absolutely. Add more fun to your fandom with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today. Get 50 back in bonus bets. You place your first wager of 10 or more. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Our great friend Bill Bender of the Sporting News is going to join us. A little bit of draft talk coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Bo Bishop, Tyvis, Powell with you. Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time to head out on that Twisted Tea hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it Twisted Cleveland. He is a great friend of the program and a great man. He's a great Bill Bender, senior writer at the Sporting News, and he joins us there. Bill, thank you so much for taking the time. Let's start here on the draft side of it, and then we'll do some college football stuff along the way as well. When you go through, and I know you do the mock drafts and all this stuff, when you go through the process and you think about the time it's been since these guys have played an actual football game on the field to now, and the 2.5 months of silly season, how do you decipher nonsense from your truth? You watched all these guys play. You watched as much college football as anybody. You've watched them all play. You have your opinions on it. How do you decipher what's real and what's not?
Well, yeah, silly season's the hardest part because you start to second guess everything you write, right? Like you'll be, for example, we did a quarterback only mock draft yesterday, and you put Shedeur Sanders with the Giants, and then you're like, there's no way they're drafting a quarterback, and then the next minute you're thinking, well, they have to make up for what they did with Saquon, so maybe they'll make a splash that way, and until it happens, it happens. I can tell you, I filed a piece today that'll run next week about the Browns and the number 2 pick, and I don't have – I think it's going to be Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. I honestly don't know what I would do if I was Andrew Berry. I think it's a tough call either way.
I tell you what I do.
When you look at I know what I do too.
Go ahead, Tyvis.
When you look at these quarterbacks, Bill, give me how do you rank them? Because obviously it's silly season, and you hear all this about Shedeur sliding, back into the draft. Give me your top 5 quarterbacks in this draft in the order.
I think Cam Ward and Shedeur are 1 and 2, and they've been 1 and 2 the whole process. And I don't get some of the negatives about Shedeur. You don't like a guy that hangs in the pocket and took the hits and throws the ball down the field well to NFL caliber receivers. I think Cam Ward's a fantastic story from Incarnate Word through Miami last year, and he totaled over 13,000 yards of passing in the college level. 3, I'd probably go Jackson Dart, and then it gets dicey. I mean, do you go Will Howard, Quinn Ewers, Kyle McCord, which Ohio State fans have opinions on all 3 of those quarterbacks. I could very easily see those 3 or Tyler Shuck being drafted next.
Yeah, I think I talked about this yesterday with Gerard, Bill, and Tyvis. Shedeur is just the low-hanging fruit, right? So, like, when you think about content creation over the last 2 months, he's the easiest to create content around. He's known. You don't have to spend time explaining who he is. Everybody knows who he is. But I keep coming back to this from him, and we had Matt Waldman on earlier this week. He was a big Shedeur guy. Nathan's a big Shedeur guy. I've been a big Shedeur guy. Not that necessarily that I think what I say, for example, he's Manning no, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, like, in college, they did not even attempt to have any interest in running the football. He quarterbacked behind a pretty average at best offensive line. I never saw him blame teammates ever. I never saw him point at offensive line or anything. He's tough, takes hits, and he led college football in passing accuracy, like completion percentage. Like, I don't know. It seems like he's just kind of been a lightning rod because it's low-hanging fruit. What's on tape is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, nobody thought Colorado was going to win 9 games last year, or get to be in contention for the Big 12 championship game on the last week of the regular season. Nobody thought that. I look at it as, a couple things I look at with quarterbacks ahead of the draft, and it's not perfect, but I look at their completion percentage. You just mentioned that. Super high at the college level. How do they throw the ball down the field? You use Pro Football Focus for that too, and 14 touchdowns, 1 interception on passes of 20 yards or more. And then you get into, touchdown and interception ratio. He has a ton of touchdowns between Jackson State and Colorado and not a lot of interceptions. So when you take care of the football, you complete it to the right guys, and you can throw it down the field. I mean, where's the problem? I get, some of the kids are different now than they were when I was playing high school football 25 years ago. If he flashes his celebration or talks a little bit of smack on the field, I guess I'm not going to say I don't have a problem with it, but I think it's less of a big deal than it used to be.
Bill, The hot topic now, everybody thinks that obviously the Browns are going to take Travis at 2. So now the new topic is 33. What if Jackson Dart, Shador, and Cam is all off the board, do you still go quarterback at 33, or do you think you go maybe running back or offensive tackle?
Well, yeah, that depends on how you feel about that second wave of quarterback. Do you take the hometown kid and go Will Howard early? I think second round might be a touch early for him, but if you get him in the third round, I'd do it. Tyler Schaug, I mentioned him. He's played a lot of football. He's the guy, Tyvis, that every year we do this. There's a guy that rises out of nowhere, and you're like, okay, what do we know about him? We know he played at Oregon. We know he played at Texas Tech, and he had a really good year with Jeff Brom at Louisville last year. Is that the guy that you kind of take and let Joe Flacco mentor for a year? Because what is Tyler? He's 6'5", he's skinny, he throws the ball well, and he doesn't turn it over a lot. And those are all the things that the Browns are expecting Joe Flacco to do for them with him coming back this year.
Yeah, that's the thing, that it's so much circumstance and it's so much the situation that these guys find themselves in at the top of the draft or even as it goes along. You have been writing and passionate about college football for your whole life and writing about it for a great portion of it now, my friend. What Travis did this year at Colorado, if you didn't watch college football, how would you explain it?
He was always in the right place at the right time on both sides of the ball. That's the short version. When you have 14 touchdown catches and you can catch the deep pass, or you can be a factor in the red zone as a receiver, which he was. He had 4 interceptions and 11 pass breakups, and he played every snap, which, I barely played any snaps when I played high school football. And Tyvis, I don't know if you went both ways, but I imagine. But could you have done it at Division I high level football? I'm going to say you could. Since I'm
Bill, I would have been the standard if Ohio State would allow me to play wide receiver.
Held you down.
I would have been the standard of what a two-way player looks like.
Yeah, exactly. And Chris Gamble did that for Ohio State, but not at this level where he was the best receiver on the field and also a factor on the coverage, which now the question is, can he do that in the NFL level? And you saw the story from The Athletic where he, I think it's a little bit of hyperbole to say I'll quit football if I can't play both ways. But I'm wondering what that snap count looks like both ways. And here's the other thing. Maybe you guys have an opinion. I don't know which position he'll be better at in the NFL. I'm not 100% certain either way.
Yeah, I think
go ahead, Ty.
I lean more towards corner. I just think that at corner, the way that he plays that football is a difference. You see and especially in today's game, you see so many pass breakups, but you don't see a lot of interceptions. And I think that with him to do that from the corner position would make him special.
There's an Ohtani thing to him in the sense of no one's ever been allowed to try this before. Right?
Yeah.
Like Bill asked you, Tyvis, about this. Like, could you have done it? Well, athletically, of course you could have done it. Like, of course you could have played safety of course you could have played receiver. There's probably a bunch of guys you played with who could have maybe played defensive back, right? But nobody ever let him. Nobody let him do it. Like, it took the circumstances of Jackson playing at Jackson State and then Colorado and the relationship with Dion and this incredible talent. That's what made it happen. Nobody gave him a chance. Nobody usually gives these guys a chance to do this.
Well, and I think from a Brown standpoint, if you do draft Travis Hunter at 2, you have instant, and not that you draft guys for marketability, but I mean, it's not hard to sell a two-way player who won a Heisman Trophy that might make plays on both sides of the ball in 2025, especially in Cleveland. Now, I guess the other one, the reason why I said I'm not 100% sure what I would do is Abdul Carter, watched what he did, watched him dominate in big games, played awesome against Ohio State, played awesome against Notre Dame, only player in the FBS last year to rank in the top 5 in sacks and hurries, so he's consistent. And just the thought of a Jim Schwartz defense where you have Garrett on one side and Carter on the other, it's tempting. There's no doubt there's some tempting assets aspects of that. No question.
All right, Bill. We talk about it's been silly season in the draft. It's silly season in the transfer portal in college football. Obviously, I know you've seen the news with Tennessee's quarterback Nico. What do you make of that? Is he who you think is at fault, him or Tennessee, and where do you think he ultimately lands?
I think he got bad advice around him at the end of the day. When you talk to people around Tennessee, I've urged people to follow Trey Wallace at Outkick. He does a really good job with Tennessee, and I've talked to him about this. And just the handlers, the advice was wrong because, what's his market now? I don't know, Tyvis. I think he could absolutely play at the Power 4 level, and somebody may take a shot on him, but I don't know that he gets a raise. I don't know that, the question I keep asking people is, do you think Nico Iamaleava, with the stats that he had, and we watched him play against Ohio State, is he worth $4 million a year? And the answer I'm getting from most is no. And, Tennessee's getting applauded for this situation for holding the line or whatever, but I just think it was avoidable if he would have just entered the transfer portal in the first place after they lost to Ohio State in the college football playoff.
I said this to Tyvis off air. I've said this on my Columbus show many times. He's the perfect player to be used he's the perfect player negatively for himself, positively for Tennessee. He's the perfect type of player for Tennessee to take a stand on. Everybody who followed recruiting knew that it was about the bag. Tennessee needed him in the worst way because Josh Heupel needed a win in recruiting, and they needed a big-time quarterback, so they compensated him to do it. But he's also easy for them to walk away from because he's good, but he's not great. He's a nice player, but he's not a great player. He's not a transcendent player. He hasn't been that. So it's easy for them to walk away. And on the other side of it, he's the perfect player for college football coaches to make an example out of, Bill. I mean, they could easily collude against him because for the same reason that it was easy for Tennessee to get to say, all right, fine, good riddance, walk, he's not good enough to elevate a bad program. And most good programs don't want the headache. So, so it's like the perfect example of it.
Yeah, and I use the example of saying it's like an NFL quarterback holding out at OTAs and seeking free agency at the same time. Mm-hmm. If let's use Burrow for an example in Cincinnati. If Joe Burrow, he won't need to now, but had he 2 years ago held out at OTAs for a new contract and they give it to him, we move on with our lives. It's very rare where you have a situation like you did with Carson Palmer, who demanded a trade, then threatened to retire, and Mike Brown held the line, and he had to wait till October to wear a Raiders uniform. I think this is going to follow Nico Iamaleava maybe his entire career because of the sitting out of practice the day before the spring game with that fan base. Could you imagine if, 3 years ago Justin Fields would have done that to Ohio State?
Huh.
That's what it's like, though, with that Tennessee fan base. They're every bit as passionate and probably even more unreasonable in some ways than Buckeye fans because they haven't won a national championship since 1998.
Yeah, it's one of those, and I think about just for like folks who follow the NFL, like this similar thing just happened at Michigan with Bryce Underwood. Right, this is a kid who's from Michigan who wanted to go play at LSU, was committed to LSU. Michigan needed a win for Sherrone Moore in recruiting, and so they got him. Well publicized. Right. They wrote a big check with Larry Ellison's lady friend and Dave Portnoy involved, and they got Underwood to sign on the line, which is dotted. Now he's a Michigan guy, something he didn't really want until the money became so much that you can't ignore. And these are the type of concessions you make in recruiting that can come back to bite you. Not to say it will for Underwood. Underwood might be great. Who knows? But when it starts being about the money, and we had Andrew Siciliano on talking with Ryan Day he asked about Cam Ward. Well, and you know this, Tyvis, and Bill, you know this too. Ohio State was interested in Cam Ward, but it became abundantly clear that Cam Ward was about who's going to pay me the most. And Ohio State was not going to get into that. They were not going to get into a bidding war. So they said, all right, not for us. Now it worked out for Cam. He went to Miami, got a bunch of money, and now he's going to be the first pick in the draft. But that's how they ended up where they ended up. Because when you're at a place like Ohio State, you don't have to make concessions on the players you bring in. But at Tennessee, sometimes you do.
And you can take a chance on Will Howard, who made it clear in his first press conference that, hey, I got a draft grade, and my decision wasn't, Ohio State or Miami or Missouri. It was Ohio State or the NFL, and he thought he was going to get a day 3 draft grade at that point at Kansas State. Mm-hmm. He comes back. Like I said, I think he'll go on day 2. I do. I don't know that he'll go in the second round, maybe the third. A lot of linking to the Raiders and Chip Kelly, though I think on some level that's a little bit lazy because you're just putting him in one spot. I could see the Steelers going there. I could see a lot of teams going there with Will Howard because I would just say roll the tape from the 4 games in the playoffs. He played fantastic.
Speaking of fantastic, I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, I put this picture of me interviewing Jeremiah Smith, and I realized how incredible of an athlete he is in person. If everybody talks about, him being the first wide receiver taken, and if he was in this draft and all those things, my question is, how would you feel if he played this season, won the Biletnikoff, and then sat out his 3rd year?
Well, I hope it doesn't come to that. And I know Jamar Chase did that under a different circumstance, obviously, with COVID. And we criticized Jamar Chase and we criticized Micah Parsons. I probably did, but you knew they could play at the next level. I think we know Jeremiah Smith can do that. And to be honest, I think he'll stay at Ohio State. I don't think we'll have that kind of drama by his junior year. I will say this, though. Of all the receivers I've watched over the years at the college level, he does remind me of a game changer at the level that Randy Moss was at Marshall. Randy Moss was the last college football receiver that I watched where I was like, oh my, I mean, he would be good right now. And he's a sophomore, and turns out he goes to the Vikings and was that good right away. And I think Jeremiah Smith could play in the NFL right now, but I also think he's in the right place with the right coordinator, Brian Hartline, and the right fit that I don't think he'll get bored at the college level because there's always something to chase at Ohio State.
Well, you know why else he's not going to get bored at the college level? About 6 million reasons. That helps. He's not work study. He's not reffing intramural basketball games on the side. Okay? He's living a life. It's a little different nowadays, boys.
That's not bad at all. I mean, he won't get bored because of that as well. But, the talent's certainly there. And all the interview sessions in Tyvis, I'm sure you felt this way as well. He just seems like a really good kid that wants to play football and get better and be the most dominant player on the field.
Yeah. Well done, buddy. As always, good talking to you. Stay well and appreciate your time.
Hey, no problem, guys. Have a great week.
All right, there he goes. Bill Bender, senior writer at the Sporting News, joining us on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. It's presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Celebrate the excitement of the NFL Draft at the Crib, presented by Howard Hanna, April 24th and 25th and 26th. Cleveland Browns alumni Josh Cribbs and other surprise guests will be on site at this exclusive open house event to help you draft your dream home in Westlake, Ohio. Check out the events tab on the Browns Facebook page for more information. When it comes to buying and selling, every client is a top draft pick with Howard Hanna. All right. You want us to rank these first, so that what we have here is a list.
Yes.
Tyvis and I have a list of 6 route runners who all played at Ohio State, and we're tasked with identifying where Emeka Egbuka ranks when it comes to route running. So Emeka is one of them.
This ain't fair.
Route man Marv, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson, and Terry McLaurin on route running.
Wait
alone.
a minute. Let me ask you. Are
Which I
we
think makes it
talking
tough.
coming out of Ohio State or currently?
Coming out.
Coming out of Ohio State.
Okay. Okay, so Marv is number 1.
Marv's one.
Let's get that.
Let me ask you
For
this
me
real
is-
quick on him. Are you surprised was not better as a rookie?
I was. But I mean, he's the only guy there. I mean, obviously they got Trey McBride, but he's the number 1 guy that defenses were going to worry about. So, I mean, it's not that shocking.
Yeah.
But I did think he'd have at least. Did he get to 1,000? I don't even think he got to 1,000.
I don't think so. I think he was under it. He had one monster game early, but it just wasn't there consistently. My theory on it is Marv is precise. I will be here exactly when I'm supposed to be, and Kyler is not that.
If that's the case, the Browns need to trade for him then, because they love somebody being where they're supposed
to be. Yeah, and that ain't Kyler.
Only 885 yards last season.
It's not. I think Kyler is. He wants to make home run plays.
But they're running the Browns off. Well, what the Browns
Sort
are
of.
I was
going
going
to
to say, Drew Petzing is their OC.
It didn't resemble what we do, though.
No.
In any way.
Well,
So,
I mean, you need who's the running back there? James Conner?
I think he still may be there, yeah. All right, so you got Marv 1.
Marv 1. For me at 2 is JSN, actually.
So I have Olave 2.
I got JSN 2.
Right.
Because if you ask Olave and Garrett, they will tell you JSN, which is funny to me.
Yeah. All right. Who do you got 3?
I'll probably go G5. I'll go Garrett.
I go Garrett. I go JSN 3. I had JSN 3 on mine.
Okay.
Who do you got 4?
Chris Olave.
Okay. I have Garrett 4. So we just switched kind of the
We just flipped
the group of
Olave and
those.
Garrett. Yeah.
All right.
And then next I'll go Emeka and then Terry last.
Yeah, Terry. That's so you and I just had the same 1, the same 5, the same 6. We just had 2, 3, 4. I had it Olave, JSN, Garrett. You had it JSN, Garrett, Olave.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So here is Bucky Brooks and Cynthia Freeland of the NFL Network on the topic.
Red, this is a Buckeye.
Got you guys down with this being 2 minutes.
We're going to talk about all things Buckeyes when it comes to their wideouts. Their wide receivers have been fantastic over the last few years. And so what we're going to do, they have 1 in the draft, Emeka Egbuka, that we're going to talk about. We want to put him in amongst the others that have come out recently. So let's rate the Buckeyes receivers from 1 to 5.
Wait, this is coming out, right?
Coming out of the draft.
Not right now.
Coming out, not right now. What we thought about them as they were heading into the draft.
Love
so
it.
let's go number 5, JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Outstanding route runner. He was terrific in the slot. We didn't see him play his final season, but you knew he had the opportunity to be special. We've seen since the end of the league, one of the best in the business at the slot receiver.
He might have been higher had he played that final season, too. Can you fire up Chris Olave for me, please? Yeah, he's probably number 4 here. We knew about the deep ball. We knew about those routes where you're really just getting a bunch of extra yards. So I think we're going to go ahead and put him at number 4 coming out, and he's really lived up to that.
He has lived up to billing, and so this is why you should be excited. If you like Emeka Egbuka, you should like him because I'm going to put him right over Chris Olave.
Boom.
In the slot, smooth, fluid, terrific catching the ball in traffic, but he also has some special stuff when he has the ball in his hands. This is a guy that's going to come in day 1. He's your slot receiver. He's eventually going to be a guy that you can count on to be that number 2 option in the passing game. I like him. I think a lot of people are going to love him once he settles in and becomes the player that we think he'll be as a pro.
Can you give me that jet, please? Garrett Wilson as number 2 right here. This is an interesting one because his route running coming out, I mean, this is like route running university, not just wide receiver university, but they're all really precise route runners. Garrett Wilson, the separation he was able to show at Ohio State was awesome. So I'm comfortable with him at number 2.
You talk about route running. Ryan Hartline has done a really good job developing these guys. Look, Marvin Harrison Jr. was the bell of the ball. We talked about him for years. He had everything that you look for: size, big playmaking ability, and he was just dependable, reliable, all those things. He is going to be a fantastic pro, like many of the other Buckeyes have been terrific.
You forgot to say about his DNA.
The DNA. I didn't look.
DNA.
Dad gets a shout out. Hall of Fame dad.
All right, Gibby. So already they just ranked the receivers. They didn't rank route running. So they just went receivers
on
coming
social
out.
media.
Yeah.
The social media headline that NFL media put out was route running.
Yeah, but that ain't it. That ain't what they did. They ranked
Not at all.
They ranked best receiver prospects coming out, which
much.
then I would have had Marvin 1, Garrett 2 on that list. So that I would have had that a little different at that point. But then where would you, like, just receiver coming out? Where would you have? I would probably have Olave and JSN ahead of Emeka too. I'd have him probably behind them, just as a prospect.
Yes, because I think that JSN was unbelievable in the slot, and Chris Olave was like Justin's number 1 target. I mean, the way he got behind defenses was ridiculous. So like I know Emeka ran a 4.45. I only know because him and I got into it while I was covering the spring game. We talked about it on the sideline during the interview. Which I ran a 4.46, so he's only slightly faster than me. But although the thing about him is that he's never been a number 1, he's always been a number 2 on his team. And it's not his fault. I mean, he was with Marv and he was with Jeremiah. So like it is what it is, to where those other guys were considered number 1 options for at least a year. I know JSN got hurt his last year, but he was the number 1 option and was having a really good season.
Wasn't Emeka the higher? He's the same class as Marv, but he's the higher rated player coming in out of high school.
Yes.
Emeka was a 5, and I think Marv was a 4 or a 3.
It was a 4.
Yeah.
I think it was a 4.
Yeah. So Emeka was higher coming out of high school. Here's the reality. The kid they got wearing 4 now is going to be –
Yeah, he better than all of them. Yeah.
He's
and then on top
nuts.
of that, they got Chris Henry Jr., who they speak very highly of, who's coming in next year. So
yeah,
and then they got Mylan Graham. It's a lot of, they got some talent in that wide receiver room.
Yeah, Brian Hartline knows what he's doing down there. Another Northeast Ohio kid making it right down there. So, all right, we'll do a little Ask Tyvis version of Ask CBD. Still time to get your questions into Gibbe at Browns_Daily. We'll do that coming up next. Let's do Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. The car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elk & Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for a little something we like to call Ask Tyvis, a.k.a. Ask CBD. You can tweet those questions still to Gibbe at Browns_Daily using the hashtag Ask Tyvis or Ask CBD, and we will answer those now. Hello, Gibbe.
Hi, gentlemen. Away we go. Ohio resident at CLE Brown 71. Tyvis, it became clear very quickly last spring that Jeremiah Smith was special and he would have an immediate impact at Ohio State, you don't say. Mm-hmm. Who is the one guy you remember from Ohio State who came in and was almost instantly a dude?
Is this a serious question?
Outside
like back when I mean, obviously, I mean, you know. Anyway, no, a guy that came in right away and I was like, oh yeah, this guy's that deal is Joey Bosa, because Joey walking in, he was like, this dude looked like my uncle. First of all, I mean, he was jacked. And then I watched him in practice not be blocked. And I'm just like, who is this guy? And you got to remember, I think Joey was a year younger than me. So I had already been there for a year. And I was like, yeah, this dude is special. So that's an easy answer, Joey Bosa.
I'm going to give you one that, he was here, but it was Terrell Pryor. Terrell Pryor for all of it, and it's a 30 for 30, like his senior year of high school until his last year at Ohio State and everything that followed, all of it. That kid walked into the number one team in the country with a first-team All-Big Ten quarterback, and it was impossible to keep him off the field. I mean, just physically, he was just the way he looked when he was here wasn't that different than the way he looked when he showed up at Ohio State as a true freshman. He looked the same. He was 6'5.5", 225 pounds, looked ready to go. First time I saw him, I thought, God, he looks like a D-end. It's a quarterback.
He was a hooper, too.
Oh, dude. Yeah, he was a hooper. Yeah.
I would have gave him – if he would have been there last night, I'd have gave him buckets. That's how good I was playing.
Oh my God.
He was the number one high school football player in the country, even he's a top 50 basketball player in the country.
By the way, and then all of us got to the NFL, and our good friend Al Saunders said, we're going to make you a wide receiver. And he had a 1,000-yard receiving season.
He had never played receiver in his life.
Correct.
Ever. Played quarterback with the Raiders and some other things, and they turned him into a wide receiver, and then he had 1,000 yards. But it's not like he ever played it. Braxton tried doing that, and Braxton was an unbelievable athlete at O State. And it was a really hard transition for him. For TP, all right, 1,000 yards.
Mr. Camtastic tweets at the show, should there be an NCAA draft eligibility exception wherein after playing 1 year in college, if a player gets a first-round grade from the draft advisory board, they would be draft eligible? Would that be a good system?
I'll tell you what, Maurice Clarett would have loved to hear that. No, I think that the college game got it right. I think that, I know it's different now because you can see guys like Jeremiah Smith whose body is NFL ready and all of those things, but I think you still need that time to develop to transition and have an immediate impact when you get to the NFL. So I think 3 years is good enough.
3 years is great. You don't want to have any sort of crack in the dam either. Like you start doing that and then all of it the flood happens. And furthermore, they don't need to anymore. They don't. These kids make a lot of these guys, and this is how the Nico Amalieva stuff got into the spot that it's in. He's going to make more money now than he's going to be as an NFL player. So there's a ton of money out there for him, and they're capitalizing on it. So there's not a need for them to go to the league anymore. That's what I was saying with Jeremiah Smith. Like, he's a wealthy kid walking around Columbus at 19 years old.
Amen. Browns backers, North Jersey. Question for Tyvis. When you interned for Bo Bishop, what was the best piece of advice he gave you?
Oh, baby.
That you can tell on the air.
Let's see. Bo.
I remember two. Let's see if he listened to anything I said. Let's see if he listened. I remember two pieces of advice I gave him.
It's very hard for me to pay attention to, what Bo is saying.
So sad.
I'm trying to think. What is something Bo taught me? Bo has done a lot for me now. Even back when I was an intern, I didn't know. Like it was so young. Like, you just do it. I did it because Coach Meyer made us do this. Okay.
That's right.
He made us, he literally said, you all have to go get internships. And luckily I got to intern with Bo and Dom and Kayla at the time. But Bo has really helped me a lot as far as just confidence being on air. He was like one of the first people to be like, you're the expert here. Like you just say what you know and explain it in a way that people understand it. And it's crazy because that was, what was that, 2014?
Summer after you guys won it? Yeah.
No, was it the summer after we won it?
Fall of 14, I think, wasn't it? Summer of 14?
It was either summer of 14 or summer of 15. I can't remember exactly, but
I can't
11 years, 10 years later, and I'm still using the same advice.
So you kind of got it right. The one thing I said, because I knew that whenever your football career was over, I knew that this was how you were going to go, and I knew you had this in you, and you kind of hit it there. I said this to everybody who I see that, and I said, be yourself, because you're betting on you. You're the personality, so be you, be authentic to you, and I've always been proud of you because you've always done that. You've been authentically you always, and as long as you're that, then nothing's fake, and that's the win. The other thing I said is don't ever get in a game of horse with me, and you've listened. That's good.
Bo, if you was out there last night, Bo,
you wouldn't even be able to hear right now because it's just ball going through net. That's how silky my J is.
I would take I'm gonna take your kids. I think you're at the point now where I think your kids are probably beating you.
Not yet. But I haven't.
Maybe in golf.
We haven't played this summer yet. This summer is when the series is really start to heat up. So we'll see. But not yet.
Tyvis and Bo, your top 5 Buckeyes available in the draft from last year's national championship team. From this year's
top 5.
Top 5 in this year's draft.
Both running backs, Emeka, Donovan Jackson, Jack Sawyer.
Yeah, Simmons.
Oh, I forgot about Simmons.
Yeah,
that's because he got hurt.
Yeah, I think Simmons feels like pretty dang good. Feels like a lock. Emeka, Trey, and Q. I think all of them. To me, I just feel like Emeka Buka could come in and start on most NFL teams day one.
Probably, yes.
He's good to go. Like, he's a pro route runner. He's good to go. I think both those backs are pretty close to that, too. I'm with you on Jack. I think Jack will be more than fine. I think he's I just feel like he's ended up in Pittsburgh. It just feels like
he'll end up in Cincinnati. I don't know.
Or it could be Cincinnati, too.
Sam Hubbard.
We don't need him.
Comes off as
I don't need him
guy.
in the AFC North unless it's here, but it feels like he could end up in one of those spots. But, yeah, it's a really talented group. It really is. They got a bunch of pros.
Yeah, they do.
Not holding you to it, but on April 16th at 2:45 p.m., who starts at quarterback for the Buckeyes game 1?
That's easy.
Julian saying.
Yeah, you can hold me to it.
Take it to the bank.
Yeah.
Hot City.
No, he was the number 1 high school quarterback in the country. He was ahead of the others on the depth chart a year ago, all season long. His release is lightning quick. He's really bright.
It's ridiculous.
I said this, buddy.
Decision making is perfect.
Yeah.
He throws a really good ball. I'd be shocked if he wasn't.
There's a video game quality to him. You and I were talking about this yesterday on my show in the morning. Like, it's like you hit X and it just goes right to the hands of the X receiver. Like, there's no adjustment. It doesn't flutter. It's just on the hands. I thought one of the most impressive throws he had in the spring game, T, was the one he had to the tight end that went incomplete. The tight end is running down the seam. Was it tight end or was it a slot?
What are you talking about, the Max Clare touchdown?
There was one that was broken up. The Clare touchdown. No, there's one over the middle deep that was kind of broken up, but he hit the receiver right in the hands. It was in the second half. I can't remember the receiver running the route, but there was one in the second half where he run it kind of down the middle post, and it was in between coverage, draped. The receiver didn't catch it, but it went off the hands, and I went, okay, he can put it wherever he needs.
You've seen enough.
I've
seen enough.
Yeah. He's good. He's really, really good. All right, so much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Belly Bet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. What do you think of this NBA play-in stuff, buddy? You into this? You watch this last night? Warriors and Grizz in the late game? It was a good game.
You know what's crazy is that I forgot how good Jimmy Butler is in the playoffs. And
he's good.
Man, oh man. It's to me, he's sandbagging, Bo. That's what it is, man. All season he just saving it for the playoffs. And he comes out here, drops 38. Steph Curry got a messed up thumb, and yet he's dropping 37. And I just didn't like the way the game ended with the 5-second call violation. Like
1 minute.
All in.
Yeah, it's I thought it was kind of gimmicky initially when I heard they were doing this, but then you watch that game last night between Memphis and Golden State, and you go, well, that's an entertaining basketball game.
Yeah.
That's a win. So Steph still clutched down the stretch, hit 2 huge threes in the last couple of minutes to kind of give him a little bit of separation, and that's a little bit of a win. Meantime, the Cavs wait. They got to wait it out. We do have a team that is here locally that is not participating in the game, but that has a lot on it, and that's the Blue Jackets tonight down in Columbus. They need the Carolina Hurricanes to beat the Canadians tonight to have a chance to clinch on Thursday. It will take a regulation win to do that. So, yeah, we'll see if it can all happen. That franchise deserve it after all they've been through. Always good doing a show with you, my friend. Thank you for your time.
Likewise, Bo. Appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Next Level's coming up next. Thanks for listening, buddy. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.